You could be the person who made them feel pretty or handsome or both for once.
Welcome to the next episode of Hair Unknown, where Hairdustry presents Presley Poe and Friends.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Where we get to meet these amazing legends at the Temple, a Paul Mitchell Partner School in Frederick, Maryland.
We talked to a few of you guys, and this is the first event and since the pandemic, and we want to thank you guys for stepping out of your comfort zone and coming in and being a part of this. And, obviously, without you guys, none of this is possible.
8 years ago, I sold everything that I owned. I lived in Oklahoma, and I sold my vintage sports car. I literally had a party, and I was like drilling things off the wall, like handing it to people and sending them out the door. I rehomed my 2 animals of over 10 and 12 years. I left my smoking hot girlfriend, a job of over 8 years, and a family that I worked with in full books on a dream. And that dream was to be in rooms teaching people like you. I'm not kidding. I moved 2,600 miles across the country because I had a calling, and I finally decided to trust it.
Presley Poe is a stylist based out of Portland, Oregon. She has been in the professional beauty industry for 17 years and specializes in creative and natural colors with an emphasis on color corrections. She is the head colorist for Pravana Collective, offering her advanced brand knowledge to her teammates and fellow stylists through live events and social media. Presley Poe was honored with a Behind the Chair One Shot Award for the Best Color Melt of the Year and was also named one of Modern Salon's Game Changers of the Year. Welcome to Presley Poe and Friends. Pati Plymire, Queen of the South, 512.
Recognize the growth, and how far you've come in your own individual journey. I'm not you, you're not me, and that's just what it is, and that's the beauty of it, right? That we're unique and we're individuals.
Leysa Carrillo, Mazzani and Redken Ambassador, International Educator, and Forever Curls Academy owner.
I'm Leysa Carrillo, and I'm the creator and founder of Forever Curls Education. That has been my biggest dream that just came to life. I've been doing hair for about, I would say 13 years. At the beginning of my career, I didn't know how lucky I was and how much this license can bring to us. I always feel like maximizing our license and getting to every little corner is the most important thing. When I started doing hair, guys, I was just focusing, just making money. I don't know if anybody here agree with that. So you finish beauty school, it's a new career, your mom asks you to do something with your life, and you, whatever it is, you have to do it, and all you want to do is make money, right? In my second career, I grew up doing ballet, contemporary dance, performing, into the point that I got hurt one day and I had to find a second chance, a new career. And I found hair. Not because I love it, it's because it was cheap to go to school with, right? So I went to college and I was like 80, 90 grand, 60, I cannot pay that. So I decided to go to beauty school one day without even knowing that I would be ended out loving it so much. My passion always been inspiration. My passion always has been making people look good and feel good. It's that feeling when you meet somebody and they behind the chair, you're behind the chair, they in front of the mirror looking at themselves, and at the end you take that cape and they just like, wow, I love my hair, right? That feeling feeds us so much. But I was looking at myself and paying attention, what was my calling? What I was doing behind the chair, what I wasn't doing. And I was segregating people, and I was not making every single person behind the chair looking good, right? And everything was knowledge, lack of knowledge. And I was just picking the easy client. I was just picking what I want to do without even realizing that I was saying no to a lot of people. Understand that being a hairdresser and being behind the chair, you have the right, you have to have the ability to make every single person that sits on your chair look good and feel good, no matter the color of the skin, the hair type, where they came from. Literally, that's my message. My message is, we all have two hands and we all can do all types of hair.
Jacob Kahn, Goldwell brand ambassador and co-founder of Fancy Hairdressers, helps deliver expertise knowledge to fellow stylists using easy-to-grasp techniques.
We're gonna go through and do a little bit of texturizing, a little bit of softening on this right now. All of the original tenets and fundamentals of haircutting still apply, right? Tension, over directions, elevation, all of these things are still going to control your end result. If we lift things up, we start to get graduation, we start to build up a little bit. We get closer to 90, we start to remove weight a little bit, right? So this is kind of like a one link, so we want even tension, but not much. We don't want over direction side to side, besides in that front piece. And we want to make sure that we're touching the skin the entire time and not lifting up.
I started off, I did like a 1.5 year apprenticeship under this guy named Wayne Lee, who's a Vidal Sassoon instructor for like 20 years, you know, so I had very structured beginnings. But I've like really expanded out into using texturizing scissors, using a razor, cutting dry, cutting soft. But you know, that sort of foundation was great for me.
Trevor Moots with the Wall Creative Team.
I always say it's okay to get inspired, but once you guys start falling into that hole of comparison, that's when you start to realize you're unhappy. That's when you start trying to be something different. So if you're always striving to be something else or someone else, then you're missing the whole point. You know, the whole point of this industry is for you to completely focus on being the best you can be.
Trevor Moots, how did you become this guy today? A leader in education, involved with multiple brands, your ability to float around a haircut and just show us this mastery. I mean, we've recorded you this time having seen what you do up close. It's fascinating. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think the one quote that stood out to me the most is, you know, practice until you can't get something wrong. And I really stood by that my entire journey, because when I first started cutting hair, I was really bad at it. Not as bad as I am now, but yeah, I was pretty bad when I first started. And I think it was one of those things that if you just put the time into something and you do it correctly and you have the passion to move forward, then you can make it happen, you know? And I started cutting hair in high school, and I really just started doing it because where I grew up, it wasn't a great area. And I didn't have the means to like give people money or, you know, that sort of thing. So I started kind of doing haircuts to help out my friends on the baseball team that couldn't really afford to get haircuts. And that's where I realized I fell in love with it. You know, I fell in love with the idea that I could make someone's life better, make someone happier by just doing a service, you know, making them feel better. And yeah, I would say that's what kind of sparked my passion to move forward in this career, because, you know, when I was cutting hair, I forgot about everything else in the world that was going on, and they forgot about their lives, and we were just laughing, having a good time. And, you know, you both walk away with something very powerful.
Absolutely, that's amazing. Who are some of the people in our industry that have inspired you?
Definitely one of my biggest mentors is John Mosley, Popular Nobody. He kind of gave me a chance.
He is just insane and a whole different kind of dude.
Yeah, 100%. He's I called him dad for like the longest time, because, you know, he came and visited the school when I was a student, and I was like 2 months in barbering school, and I remember he was the first barber educator I ever got to see. And after his class, I walked up to him, I was like, dude, I love you. I think I love you.
I love him too. I get the chills, dude. Yeah. That's the trip.
Yeah, and I walked up to him, I was like, I really want you to mentor me. And he was kind of like, yeah, okay. And I was like, So I kid you not, for about a year straight, I messaged this guy. I was like, this is my haircut. This is where I am. I just did phase 2. Like, I just got my first barbershop job. Never answered. And then about a year later, I finally sent him a message. I was at a barbershop, and I was like, dude, I'll sell my car and move to California just to like sweep the hair that you cut so I can learn from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he gave me a phone call like about 2 days later, and Ever since then, he's been a huge mentor of
Did you
mine.
have to sell your car?
I didn't. Yeah, we made it happen.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's a great human.
And what is your inspiration? What today continues to inspire you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Is it earth and nature? Is it going someplace? Is it a person? What gets you inspired for the next round of, leadership classes that you're teaching with cutting companies? And
so what I think inspires me the most now would be balance. What I didn't focus on in the beginning was myself. What I focused on was my art. And now I'm putting a lot more focus back into me because I believe you cannot deliver 100% of you until you know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where the focus has shifted. What I encourage people to do now is fall in love with what you do first and then figure out your route to get to the education side. Because most people are so I always say there's a difference between being starving and being hungry. Mm-hmm. When you're hungry, you've already had a meal, you're just ready for your next one. When you're starving, you'll take anything, right? So I think it's so important to not just chase after everything, but find what best suits you and what best works for you, and then go after that.
Absolutely, that's awesome. That's I was going to ask what were your encouraging words, and that's exactly a very awesome point. I think that's totally the truth between hunger and starving, and saying no to things, healthy boundaries, because maybe you don't need it. You don't need everything. You're not starving. Maybe just relook at the situation and see what else is out there. I think you are an inspiration to most of us, all of us, barbers, hairdressers, and I think it's fascinating what you do, and thank you for having this interview with us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
This is a 4x4 foot square space that we have in a salon to change people's lives. You could be the only person that has touched them in months. You could be the only person that has been kind to them in months. You could be the person who made them feel pretty or handsome or both for once. You could be the only person that's ever respected their binaries. You could be the only person who has healthily touched them. You guys, we change lives, and it all starts with our 4x4 foot square space.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Hair Unknown, Presley Poe and Friends, where we were inspired by their live demonstrations, their social media hacks, new tips and tricks, and can't wait to see you next time. Stay beautiful.